2 of the madness is here. Well, we need a bounce back day because yesterday was not our best day, but we are here for a long time. We got a long tournament. We've got a long weekend. Full action on the board today. I've got 3 best bets on the way for you guys in today's games. And then as always, we're going to break down a few of the other plays that I like. All right, my friends, let's get into it. This is the Free 3.
I love it, Noble. Noble, I also love your YouTube videos. I watched them while I was gone. That was fire.
But getting paid because yesterday we had a full sweep. Mike going under, that was just icing on the cake. Why are we going to go
in such a weak AFC South?
Unless we have the NBA Blowout Association.
Bang! Knicks take a 1-point lead with 13 seconds.
When you hear the sirens, you know what that means.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
Good morning, family. What is up? It is your boy Noble Living back with another DYF Bets video. I'm breaking down my favorite picks and plays of the day as we just try to get to the bag together and make that money. Well, yesterday we didn't necessarily make that money, but it was still a great day in general. Why? Because it was day 1 of the NCAA tournament. My favorite day of the year. We've got action on literally from noon all the way until midnight. I'm here at the casino. I'm in the car right now, but I'm at the casino, so I was able to watch the games, grab things live. My only disappointment was the plays that I gave you guys was absolutely cake. I mean, they were god awful. I got my ass handed to me yesterday in all honesty, but we're here for the long run and I'm going to make that money back. Yesterday it wasn't our finest performance here on the channel. I'm going to go through a quick recap here and then we're going to dive into our plays for today. Yesterday here officially on the channel we went 1-2, but I added a few extra plays which brought us to a staggering 1-5. You can see that. Oh my god. It's been probably a month and a half since we had a day like this. It wasn't my finest performance to say the least. If we go here real fast and we take a look at specifically the games that we had taken, we took Mizzou's team total over 69.5. That missed. They couldn't hit the side of a barn. Shout out to Drake for getting it done. The first major upset of the day. The second one that I added was after our first parlay of the day of UCLA, St. John's, and Clemson missed. I really thought this was the parlay of the day. I really did. I had a lot of faith in Clemson after what I saw from McNeese last year. And Chase Hunter, what the fuck are you doing, bro? You were asleep. You didn't show up for your team. You're the best player on the team, and you didn't even want to shoot the ball. You didn't even want to attack the rim. I'm not even going to get into it. Clemson loses that game by 2. Hopefully, you were able to hedge on that game live. I was able to grab Clemson at like plus like 7, 8.5, but it's neither here nor there. This blew our parlay. So once this parlay lost, I did another parlay and threw Kansas in there because I just thought Kansas was going to be the better team. I thought they were going to get out-coached, and they did. Bill Self out-coached Calipari. The problem is his seniors in DeJuan Harris and Hunter Dickinson decided their careers were going to be done. Yeah, well, I guess you're going to go to fucking LinkedIn now or go over to freaking Japan and play basketball because your college days are over, and both of y'all didn't even show up, man. Shout out to Arkansas for getting the win, but Kansas didn't show up. Their seniors didn't show up. They're just so bad. They're just so freaking bad. So that was another loss. And then finally, we took VCU on the money line. I said, let's see if defense wins championships, and it certainly didn't. Fuck VCU. They couldn't get it done. I tried to pick the underdogs. I really did. And when I chose the underdogs, it lost. Our only win of the day was Wofford first half at plus 10.5, and they lost the first half by 9. So thank God we were able to get that done. So officially a 1-5 day. Again, a few opportunities for you to be able to hedge live. But you know what, guys? I'm giving you guys my plays. Do what you want with it. Take it, fade it, whatever you like. You know, we're here for the long run and not, for a good time, not a long time. All right. I'm going to go through each game today and tell you my picks, and I'm going to give you my first official best bet of the day, okay? As we go through the board here, we have a few games that are pretty good, starting off with Baylor and Mississippi State. If you're on Baylor, I'm not opposed to it. I see a lot of people on Baylor. I'm not against it. I'm personally on Mississippi State. I have Mississippi State in my bracket. I have Mississippi State in my Final Four. Not in my bracket, but I have a future on Mississippi State to make the Final Four. Mississippi State's size will cause some problems for Baylor. Baylor's missing their starting center. He's been out for about a month and a half now. Baylor's been very inconsistent this year because of all the injuries they have had to deal with, but also because they're a very young team. They've got great players like VJ Edgecombe, who's supposed to be a top 5 lottery pick, but the problem is he's a freshman, right? And then you've got players like Omier, who's a great veteran, but he can't stay healthy. So Baylor's been up and down all season long, and I think Mississippi State's physicality can be the difference here. But considering how I've been losing on favorites so far this tournament, if you take Baylor, I'm not opposed to it. As we continue to moving here through the board, Alabama and Robert Morris, I like Alabama to cover the spread here, but I would go the first half spread or the over in the game. I don't think Robert Morris has faced any type of caliber of offense like Alabama. I think the total for this game is like 160 something, like 165, 166. I would take the over there, but Alabama should wipe the floor with them, but I would take Alabama in the first half. Now, as we scroll through here, I want to go through my first best bet of the day because a lot of these games are good, but that's not my best bet. My first best bet of the day is going to come here between this Akron and Arizona game. Now, Akron's a team that's interesting to look at. If we look at Akron here on KenPom, we can see they're ranked 66 in offensive efficiency. They went 28-6 on the year. They have the 9th longest win streak in the country right now. They're pretty good. And this is the number that you have to take a look at. Is the 16th in adjusted tempo. They're fast. They play super fast, and they don't give a damn. 21st in average possession length on the offensive side, and 67th in defensive average possession length, which means they play fast, but they also speed you up as well. 28th in effective field goal percentage. They crash the offensive boards. You can see the 3-point and the 2-point numbers here. They're all top 50 in the country. They can absolutely score the ball. So what's the angle that we're looking at here? Arizona, they can do the same exact thing. If we look at them, 14th on KenPom, 12th in 12th in adjusted efficiency, 56th in adjusted tempo, and 46th in average possession length on the offensive side, not to mention 84th in effective field goal percentage, 45th from 2-point percentage, 18th from the free throw line. So they can score the ball just as well as anybody else. If we go real quickly to team rankings and we want to look at the numbers, Akron, they're ranked they're ranked 7th. They average 84 points per game. This is team points per game, which is 7th in the entire country. And if we go look at Arizona, we probably have to scroll down just a little bit further down to 15th in the country at 81.7 points per game, 82 points per game they average. So what is the number that we're looking at here? We do have a very high total in this game at about 167.5. It opened at 166.5, which is a very high number, but I think it opened at the right number for a reason, because I think we're going to get a lot of offense here. We're going to get a lot of up and down, and we saw Akron in their championship game against Miami. They were trailing that game by 13 points for the majority of the game, double digits, and they were still pushing the tempo. They were still, obviously they were down, but they didn't try to slow it down. They didn't try to change it up. They are going to play fast no matter who they play against. So this is what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to take 2 separate bets here for the first best bet of the day, all right? We're going to lock in Akron first half plus 7.5, and then we're going to go over 166 or 167.5. Let's see what we can get here in terms of the total real quickly. Let me go here to the total. Let me zoom in just a little bit for you guys. All right, yeah, we're at 167 standard across the board, so we'll lock that in for the overall total, and then we're going to go Akron first half plus 7.5. So this is very similar to my pick yesterday with Wofford. I think Akron's offense is strong enough to keep them in the game. I think they're good enough to win the game outright. I have them winning the game outright in my bracket, but don't put your money there. I would say that the 14.5 isn't bad. If you look at some of these supposed experts that Action says are experts, I don't know what the criteria is, but Akron, we see a few Arizonas. Akron. We got it over here. We got it Akron. We got it Akron. So I'm not a big fan of when everybody's on the same side. Like everybody was on Louisville yesterday. And once I saw that, I knew our parlay was chalked. But overall, I think people are on the right side here. Because the thing about Tommy Lloyd's team for Arizona is they're decent defensively, 33rd in defensive efficiency, but the problem with them is, one, they don't guard the 3-point line very well, which is what Akron likes to do, but they're not gonna, like, if you look at some of the other high-flying pace teams that they played against so far in their conference, like Arizona State, you can see this, 113-100, 96-95, BYU runs a very similar offense as Akron, 85-74, again, BYU, Iowa State, 86-75, Oklahoma State, 92-78, so when they play these fast-paced teams, Arizona is, they like to run and gun just like them. And Caleb Love, we know he's somebody who's going to shoot the ball a lot. They've got a lot of experience. So that's why I like Arizona to push the tempo. But because Akron is good enough offensively to hit shots, I think they can keep this game close for the first half. Second half, Arizona might be able to pull away, very similar to what we saw yesterday with Auburn and Alabama State. But when you have the adrenaline rushing, when you have the crowd going, you've got upset on your mind, I'm sure you can make some things happen. And that's why I'm going to go here with Akron first half plus 7.5, and then Akron over 167.5 in Arizona. If you want to do half a unit on either of these, you could do that. I'm just betting a little bit heavier today because it's March Madness. Our second best bet of the day is going to come in it's going to be a parlay of the day, all right? So I know moneyline parlays haven't, they've been printing for us in conference tournament. They didn't work for us yesterday, but we're going to run it back today because there's 2 moneyline parlays I want to give you guys because there's 4 favorites that I don't think are losing, all right? Good morning, Day. Good to see you, fam. Good to see you, Malik. Appreciate y'all tapping in. So the first moneyline parlay we're going to go with is the coaches parlay. That's what I call it, the coaches parlay. Dan Hurley, Dana Altman. 2 of the best coaches that you're going to get in all of college basketball. And today, they're very slight favorites. The first one, UConn, is playing Oklahoma. You can see we can get them at minus 210. And then we got Oregon against Liberty. You parlay those 2 together, you get to minus 102 odds. So we're going to do that. We're going to do minus 105 just to lock in 1 unit, to get a little bit over a unit. Now, let's talk about these games. UConn, Oklahoma. I get why people are in Oklahoma, okay? I get it. They're an SEC team. They shouldn't even be in the tournament if you're being honest with me, but it's okay. They're 20-13. They finished like 6-10 in conference. Let's pull them up on KenPom. And the biggest thing with Oklahoma that is my concern is, yes, they can score the ball. 22nd offensive efficiency, 38th in effective field goal percentage. But it's this defense right here. 71st in defensive efficiency, 191 in effective field goal percentage on the defensive side, 322 in 2-point percentage on the defensive side. That is the problem for Oklahoma to me. That just makes me scratch my head. The second issue with Oklahoma is when you look at their SEC wins. They're 6-12 in SEC, but let's look at their 6 wins. Texas, Missouri, after that loss, is Missouri looking as good of a win? Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, South Carolina. Didn't make the tournament. Okay. They were at home. Okay. Got upset. Barely made the tournament. You see what I'm saying? So every time they stepped up in class against the top programs in the SEC, Texas A&M, Tennessee, LSU, not even LSU, Florida, fuck LSU. They lost to LSU at home. That should tell you even of itself. So it's just like Oklahoma's just been way too streaky. The only reason why they beat Georgia here is because freshman Jeremiah Fears had like a 30-point game. If he didn't have that 30-point game, they lose to Georgia. They might not even get into the tournament. They played a good game against Kentucky, but same thing, right? Gave up a game-winning shot to the same player 2 times a row. Same player beat them here. So for me, when you see those little small mistakes like that, and when you see them make errors defensively, when they shoot bad shots, don't get me wrong, Oklahoma and what they do offensively, they score a ton of points, but they make little minor mistakes. To me, the edge is going to be with the coaching. And we saw that yesterday. Clemson, their coach got out-coached. Why? He should have went zone at halftime. McNeese was clearly beating them off the dribble every single time. And guess what? He decided not to do it until later on in the second half, and by the time he did it, it was too late. How did Kansas get back into the game against Arkansas? Bill Self went zone. He made a coaching adjustment. There's certain coaches who will win and lose their teams the game based on how true they want to stick to what worked for them in the regular season, their principles, instead of adjusting on the fly. And for me, Dan Hurley is one of those coaches who adjusts on the fly better than anybody. And he's a 2-time defending national champion. And for me, like, to get this value with UConn, I think it's absolutely disrespectful, in all honesty, to give the defending champion an 8 seed. And I know that doesn't matter because it's different from one year to the next. But come on, guys. This was a team that lost in the Big East semifinals to Creighton, but they still were very solid this year. They have great wins over Marquette, over Creighton, Marquette twice, over Butler in overtime. This is a very solid team, and when you look at the fact that Oklahoma can't guard 2-pointers, like I showed you, the 2-point percentage, but what does UConn do best? Is get to the score 2-pointers and get to the free throw line. That nullifies what Oklahoma likes to, or can't defend defensively. This is why I like UConn here. 343rd in pace, which means they're not going to get caught up in a game running up and down the court with Oklahoma, making this a 3-point shootout. I think the efficiency for Dan Hurley's team offensively, with the experience that they have and the better coaching, will be the difference here. Now, guarding the 3-point line is going to be paramount because Oklahoma can shoot a lot of threes, and you can see here UConn doesn't defend the 3-point line that well. That's going to be the difference in this game, but I'm going to go with the better coaching. Now, the second leg is Oregon. And the reason why we're going with Oregon here is simply Dana Altman's never lost in the first round. If you look at his days in Oregon, if you look at his days at Creighton, we can pull it up right here on KenPom. You could see real quickly. Creighton, round 2, round 1, which is technically this is technically round 1, but here we go. Round 2, round 1. Here we go. Sweet 16, round 2, Elite 8, Final 4, Sweet 16, round 2. He has not lost a round 1 game since he's been in Oregon. And now you're giving me a Liberty team that's good. Don't get me wrong. Liberty won their conference. They're good. But they're streaky. And look how Oregon finished the regular season. This is what you want. This is the type of consistency you want to back for any team going into a tournament. And they had Michigan State by the ropes for about 30 minutes of that game. Michigan State just pulled away in the last 5-7 minutes of the game. So this is the team in Oregon that we saw beat Wisconsin on the road, Iowa on the road. Yes, they went through the middle of their stretch of the regular season, but this is where you want to see the red here rather than down here. So I just really like the way that this Oregon team is playing. Liberty's not a bad team. You see KenPom has this as a 4-point win for Oregon. They really good offensively, 76 in offensive efficiency, number 2 in effective field goal percentage, but this is the issue right here. They don't crash the glass. 361st in offensive rebounding. And the reason why that's big is because when you live and die on the three-point shot, 5th in three-point percentage, and you don't get to the free throw line, all it takes is one night for your shot not to be hitting. And guess what? There's been plenty of times where their shot wasn't hitting. Against Kennesaw State, this was a very, very close game. I had so much coin on Liberty money line in this game. And they were 12-point favorites. And they barely won this game by 2 points. And that's what happens when you live and die by the 3. And then the thing why Kennesaw State was beating them, because they have the guards to take them off the bounce. And guess what Oregon has? The guards to take them off the bounce. And they also have the big man inside, Dan, whatever his name is, Whittle or Nate Biddle. This dude right here, the 7-foot senior, he's a problem. If they can get him the ball and they don't get into foul trouble, he is a problem. So I'm locking this in as my second best bet of the day, my first money line parlay. UConn on the money line, Oregon money line. Our third and final best bet of the day, guys. Okay, it's another money line parlay, and I'm going to talk about some of my other leans and some of the other picks that I have for today. Besides, some of the toss-up games. Okay. Again, this is my money line parlay. It's favorites. I know it's March. I know underdogs are supposed to hit. We saw some underdogs hit yesterday. I'll tell you what underdogs I like today. But this is my other favorite parlay I'm taking. Maryland on the money line against Grand Canyon. And then we're going to go Marquette on the money line against New Mexico. So here we go, Marquette. And then Maryland, that should get you to about minus 113. So almost plus 100. If you want to throw Florida in there on the first half money line, if you want to throw Michigan State in there, you can see that gets you to plus 100. Michigan State, to me, is a team that can lose today. So, take that with whatever you want to with a grain of salt. But let's just go with the two teams today just to keep it simple. So real quickly, let's talk about both of these teams. Marquette is taking on New Mexico. New Mexico's had a phenomenal season. I just spoke about the coaches parlay. Dan Hurley, Dana Altman, 2 March head coaches. On the other side, New Mexico is head coached by Richard Pitino, and Marquette is head coached by Shaka Smart. Those are 2 coaches to me who are anti-March coaches. We know what got Shaka Smart famous, which was his run at VCU. But if we look at after his run at VCU, real quickly, give me 1 second. Shaka Smart has had some squads back from his days at Texas. So you can see, Final Four his first year, second round, first round, second round, Sweet 16. Since that Final Four run in his first ever tournament, we've never seen, that was 13 years ago, we haven't seen the same type of run from this Marquette team or Shaka Smart teams since then. Now, last year they make it to the Sweet 16. Kudos to them. And I think this is the season they can build off of that momentum. They finally got that monkey off their back of finally losing in the round 1, round 2. And as a head coach, that's in your head mentally. It really is. I mean, look, come on. We saw Bill Self yesterday. And now that you've been able to go to the Sweet 16, I think you're able to build off of that here. And they play in a very competitive Big East conference. You guys know that. 23-10 in the year, 31st in offensive efficiency, 22nd in defensive efficiency, 8th in turnover percentage. That's one of the reasons why I love Marquette. They turn you over, and they don't turn over the ball. That matters come tournament time. But so does also the fact that they can't hit 3-pointers. So keep that in mind as well. But if they were playing a team that was a huge 3-point shooting team, I would be a little bit more concerned. But they're playing a New Mexico team Now you can see offensively their numbers are pretty average. 165th in three-point percentage, 201 in two-point percentage. They're pretty good in not turn over the ball. But the thing about them is they play so fast that the majority of teams can't keep up with them. And the fact is they don't turn over the ball as they play fast, and they're very efficient with what they do. They run a very, very specific style of offense. And defensively, they're good. 19th in defensive efficiency, 33rd in turnover percentage, number 2 in free throw percentage. But the problem is they play in the Mountain West. Those are great numbers, but when you look at who their quality of opponents are, the best team that they face all throughout the entire season is Utah State and Colorado State. And we know the numbers about the Mountain West come tournament time. And that's why I have to fade Richard Pitino. If we go look at Richard Pitino real quickly, we can see round 1 last year. They lost. They lost to Clemson. I was at that game. Round 2 and with Minnesota. Round 1 with Minnesota. So he's had some teams, and they'll be competitive in the Mountain West. 22-12, 26-10, 26-7, 22-14, 24-10. Like, you'll have competitive teams, but by the time they make it to the tournament, it's like they do just enough. And without the home court advantage that New Mexico gets playing in the pit where they do, everything's nullified. They have a very good program or fan base that travels, but the problem is this game today is in Cleveland, Ohio. Well, guess what? Marquette's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which basically means this is a home game for Marquette. They lost to Boise State on a neutral floor in their conference tournament, and Boise State's not even in the big dance, and that is kind of like the concern for me. Neutral loss, away loss, away loss, away loss, home loss, neutral loss, away loss. New Mexico, they win games when they're at home. When they have to travel is when they have issues. And that, to me, is the problem. And today they're traveling against Marquette. We see this as a 4-point win for Marquette here. So that's the first leg. Now, the second leg is Maryland, and that's simply because Maryland, I think, is one of the best teams in the country. I told you guys I have a Final Four on them. They're 25th in offensive efficiency, 6th in defensive efficiency, green across the board, whether it's turnover percentage on the offensive defensive side, whether it's three-point percentage on the offensive defensive side. Maryland is deep. They're good. They had Michigan in by the ropes. They should have beaten Michigan for a chance for the Big Ten championship game. The only reason why they lost that game is because they let that guard go coast to coast with 5 seconds left, and like they didn't stop the ball. But it happens. But you can see KenPom has this as a 14-point win for Maryland. I like them to cover the 10.5 point spread. Grand Canyon's good. Shout out to Bryce Drew and what he's done for this program. But the problem with Grand Canyon is like they win their conference and like that's all they do. Last year they went to the Sweet 16. Shout out to them. They took the country by storm with that. And then was it Sweet 16? Okay, round of 32. That's where they end up facing Alabama and lost round of 32. But this year they went to 3 of the last 4 conference tournaments. Great to see that, or 3 of the last 4 tournaments, I should say. But I think this is where the streak ends for them. Same type of situation. They win at home, but away loss, away loss, away loss, away loss, semi-away loss, neutral for a loss. So for me, with this game on a neutral floor, Maryland with the higher seed, with the bigger size, the bigger players, the better guards, they should get it done. So those are the 3-4 plays that I'm locking in, guys, for today's episode of the Free 3. Real fast. We've got 2 moneyline parlays. We've got Marquette on the money line. We've got Maryland on the money line. We're really fading 2 coaches here in Richard Pitino, who doesn't really get it done for New Mexico, and then Bryce Drew for Grand Canyon, who's just going to be outclassed. Our second one is Dana Altman with Oregon and Dan Hurley with UConn to be able to get the wins against Oklahoma and Liberty. I think they're going to get it done. And then finally, our other first bet is going to be a split between Akron first half on the spread and then also the over 167.5. Now, a few other leans that I'm going to give you guys and a few other plays that I am going to be personally taking on my personal book in person. I'm going to take Mississippi State on the money line. I'm going to take Lipscomb first half. I think Lipscomb is going to give Iowa State a few problems to start the game. Iowa State has a whole bunch of injury problems right now. Their rotation is off. I would not be surprised if Iowa State loses this game outright. They have issues right now. And we saw that down the stretch. If we pull up KenPom real quickly, if you guys just want to look at this real fast, and we could see after starting off conference 11-4, they dropped 3 of their last 5, and then they lost to BYU here in the conference semifinals. So it's just a little bit of an issue. KenPom has this as a 12-point win for I'm blanking out here, Iowa State. And the spread here is at 14.5. So do with that information as you will. Lipscomb's really good. 10th longest streak in the country, 25-9. Offensive numbers are great. They don't turn over the ball. They shoot a lot of three-pointers, which I think can keep them in the game. And then they do have some size. Dylan Faulkner, 6'9". Jacob, however you say his name, 6'8". So their two best players are big men. So I like that as well. That's what you need when you're having an upset. Unless you got a team like McNeese, it's just like super athletic. You're going to need some of your big men to show up. I like Lipscomb plus 14.5. I like them first half. Now, Colorado State and Memphis is going to be a game that a lot of people are going to flip a coin on. I lean Colorado State, and I don't like the fact that they opened at 2.5-point favorites, especially as a 12 seed. But the injuries around Memphis's guards have to be noted. They have a lot of injuries. Memphis does at the guard position. If we go look at Memphis just super quickly, obviously P.J. Haggerty, if he goes for 35-40, they're going to win. And they can stay in any game. P.J. Haggerty is an absolute bucket. One of the best scorers in all of college basketball. You can see right here. Dane Danger, he caused a lot of problems as well. But Tyrese Hunter, he's dealing with a foot injury. And I also think Colby Rogers might be questionable for this game as well. So the thing is, even though Memphis is going to have two of their major guys, some of their other significant contributors and role players are going to be an issue. So I think that's going to cause a few problems. But we also know how the Mountain West does in terms of NCAA tournament time in the first round. So you know the numbers are like 3-15, 3-16 against the number. So take that with a grain of salt. I'm probably going to stay off this game unless it's live. But I do lean Colorado State just because of the injuries. And Penny is another one of those March coaches that doesn't seem to find a way to get it done. No matter how talented his squads are, Penny's teams just always seem to let you down. Moving on, Duke should beat St. Mary's. I'm not touching that game. I like Vanderbilt over St. Mary's. I'm going to see how the day is going. I'm going to do a little bit more research. But on my first read, I do like Vanderbilt over St. Mary's. I do like the plus 4.5. St. Mary's plays so slow that sometimes it's an issue if you get down. We saw that yesterday with Clemson. They got down so much, and Clemson's a team that plays slow, so slow, that it's like, what do we do now? We got to speed it up, but it's so irregular for you that you start causing turnovers. You start doing things out of the box. And Vanderbilt has an offense that can play fast and that can stretch the floor. So I think St. Mary's, if they get down, it could be real problems because they just are not used to playing a fast style of play. Now, this is the game that everybody's going to be talking about today, UNC and Ole Miss. I lean the over, okay? I would take over 155.5 because I do think we're getting a lot of points. I have Ole Miss in my Final Four. I showed you guys that on my bracket yesterday. So for me, I'm taking Ole Miss on the money line today. But that's just, I like Chris Beard. He's a tournament coach. His defenses are great. UNC, great win for them. It's either UNC wins today or Xavier beats Illinois. One of the two. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Ole Miss for like a unit. And if that bet misses, then I'm going to follow that up with Xavier for 2 units on the money line to cover what I lost. The reason why that is because a team that plays in the first 4 has advanced to the second round every single time they've introduced the first 4. So the question is it going to be Xavier or is it going to be North Carolina? And for me, since I like Ole Miss, that means it has to be Xavier, in my personal opinion. That's just the way I'm playing it. If you don't want to play it that way, that's cool. I'm just telling you what I'm taking. So I'm going to take Xavier as long as I know Ole Miss grabs the win here. But I'm starting off with Ole Miss. I talked about the Maryland game. I'm going to take the 10.5 as well. I also like them first half. Florida should smack Norfolk State. I'll probably take them first half. I like Kentucky against Troy, but I'm staying off of this game because Troy could beat Kentucky. I just don't think it's going to happen. But I think a lot of people are on Kentucky. I think they're a money line lay piece, though. So I would put them in a money line lay. We spoke about Marquette. We spoke about Akron and Arizona. We spoke about UConn and Oklahoma. I just mentioned Xavier in Illinois. I do like the over in this game as well. Over 160.5. I like the over to that game. I'm pretty sure if we scroll down here on action, just give me 1 second here, we could look at some of the over-under numbers. So against Maryland, it went under 158, but you can see against Iowa, over 165.5. That was a conference tournament game. Over 158.5 for Purdue. Over 162.5 for Michigan. So they've gone over in 3 of the last 4. Meanwhile, Xavier against Texas went over in the first round. 11 or first 4 game over 151.5. They lost to Marquette in the Big East tournament, but that game went over 145.5 against Butler 152.5. Providence plays a little bit slow, so you can see why that game went under. And that's actually pretty interesting under that this game against Creighton went under, but that's probably because they won that game by 22 points. So I'm expecting a lot of points for both of these teams. You can see Illinois to the over this year is 2013. Meanwhile, Xavier is 7-4 to the over on the road this year. So I do lean the over in that game as well between Xavier and Illinois. And then finally here, Michigan State. If I had to take them, I would take them on the first half. As I think Bryant can keep this game close. That's going to be a live game for me. And then Oregon, I told you guys I do like Oregon here as well. And I do think they cover the spread at 6.5, 5.5. All right. So that's what we're locking in for today, my friends. Just wanted to kind of talk through the board as to what I'm liking, where I'm leaning with things. I also lean the over in Alabama game if I haven't said that as well. I think that's it from a total perspective. Yeah, I lean the over 166. Let me see. I'm just scrolling here real quick. I lean over 155.5. The 153.5 can be good here, but the only problem is obviously blowout potentials with Florida. But Norfolk State they've got like Alabama State type guards. They're athletic. Over 167.5 in Akron, we locked that in. Over 161 for Xavier, and that's really it from a total perspective. So money line parlays, we've got a few spreads, we've got a few totals that we like, and then what I would advise you guys to do is similar to what we saw yesterday, which is put out like a quarter of your bankroll now, have your bankroll now, and then make sure you guys have a little bit of bankroll to bet games live. You could have gone Clemson live at like plus 8.5, plus 9.5. Sometimes it bites you in the ass. I got Georgia live at like plus 12.5, and I thought I was going to win that bet, and that shit missed. So sometimes it hits, sometimes it misses, but the key is to make sure that you have the bankroll, because if you don't have the bankroll, then guess what? You're not going to be able to hedge. You're not going to be able to double down. You're not going to be able to play off of certain things that you're watching live. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities to grab certain things like Auburn. You could have grabbed Auburn when Alabama State went on that run in the first half. You could have gotten them at like minus 15. Now, it's still a lot of points, but it's a lot better than getting at minus 28, minus 30 where the game first opened up at. So keep that in mind, friends. So know the pregame lines. Also know what your trigger number is. Like something like Ole Miss, I'm going to put like I'm going to unit on them live at plus like 115 or pregame at plus 115. And then I'm going to save another unit just in case they get down. Then I'll take a plus 5.5 and sprinkle a little bit at like plus 300, right? Sometimes you're going to lose like that, and sometimes that's like where you get days like yesterday where it's really bad, or that's how you save a day. Because like last night I took Michigan live when they were down at plus 115. I took Texas Tech live when they was like a 2-3 point game when UNC Wilmington went on their run. So just keep that in mind. There's still ways for you guys to make bread even though you might not have locked in the games pregame, all right, or the bets pregame. So I appreciate y'all for tapping in, guys. It's your boy Noble Living. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm gonna be probably leaving the casino tomorrow, so I will do another live video for you guys. I don't know if I'll have one on Sunday just because I might be driving or traveling, but I'll keep you guys posted, all right? All plays will be on Noble Living on the Action Network and then also posted on X as well. So I appreciate you guys, and if you guys have any picks that you like, send them my way, man. Days like I have yesterday where I'm losing bets, I look to the left, I look to the right, I try to see what some of my friends are taking, I try to see what the other people that I trust are taking, and I trust you, Day. I trust you, Extraordinary Picks. I trust some of you guys like Aloha. I trust some of you guys because you guys are putting out your plays, you're consistent. So if you guys have any action that you like, shoot me a message, let me know, and I'd love to tell you all as well, especially in days where I'm not hitting, because again, the enemy's not the sports books, it's not ourselves. All right, friends, appreciate y'all for tapping every day. Appreciate all the love and support. Let's have a day, let's run it up. It's a long tournament. All right, not everything's going to be made in one day. Let's enjoy it and let's get after it. All right, friends, appreciate y'all for tapping in. It's your boy Noble Living. Let's have a day. Later, gang.